We're going to dodge the question about when you're running for the Senate.
I'm not running for the Senate. I have no dodge for that. If I want to be in a senior citizen living facility, we've got better ones in Florida than the United States Senate. So I ain't running for the Senate. I do believe you make an important point about the intersection of foreign policy and immigration policy, because what we see right now with the Biden administration repurposing resources that we'd intended for border security into welcome centers, they have empowered the cartels with a tremendous messaging tool. And the cartels right now are recruiting, they're reactivating the flow of humans and all other activity in Central and South America. And what that does is it degrades borders. You see, if you got people moving around in these caravans, then the notion of the nation state is diminished, and that creates a very permissive environment for them to be able to operate. And without getting into too much sensitive information, we know that the people crossing the southern border are not just from Central and South America. There is a substantial Lebanese diaspora in the tri-border region in South America. There is intense Iranian activity in Venezuela, and I am concerned that we have been so focused on the Middle East that we've forgotten about our own hemisphere and what's happening here. And I think that we ought to sort of take care of our own neighborhood in the Western Hemisphere and build resiliency here before going on misadventures in desert sands.
But we could chew gum and walk at the same time. I think we can do both.
Well, why do you want to go fight over there, Doug?
No, I mean supporting Israel. That's my view of the Middle East.
Yeah, well, I think that's the way to not fight.
The Abraham Accords.
We were all told that Iran was going to build this, land bridge across Syria and Iraq, and they were going to threaten Israel. And as that started to go on, and the Iranians started setting up those camps in southern Syria, well, those camps were vanquished. They went away pretty quickly, and a capable Israel is actually what reset deterrence and preserved peace.
Absolutely. And Israel, the Israelis have always said, we don't want you to defend, we want you to give us the ability to defend ourselves. We don't want you to do it, we're going to do it. You just got to make it possible for us to do it.
Like with Taiwan.
Like with Taiwan.
Great analogy.
Okay, gentlemen in the back row, you got the khaki pants. Yeah, you. Stand up, shout your question. Okay, the question is that in the Reagan era, it was you were going to empower your enemy, your friends, to fight for themselves and to defend themselves. What happens in a Trump era? And I'm going to ask you, Pete, because you've been there.
Well, listen, I think proxy forces are, of course, always more preferable to American boys, and that's an easy answer. Talking about America first doesn't mean America retreat or American disengagement. To what was said by the congressman, supporting the state of Israel and their ability to defend themselves is fundamental to understanding about maintaining our own security and security of the West. It's a no-brainer. So if there are places in which people yearn to live free, there are far more efficient ways and manners in which to support those people than deploying the 101st Airborne. And I do support clandestine and other ways in which small numbers of troops in the right places can be catalysts for opportunities that may not otherwise present themselves. But we better be clear-eyed about the fact that just because you've broken something doesn't mean the solution on the other end is going to be better. And how many times have we seen, as we tinker around the globe, the outcome actually is something we didn't anticipate, maybe far more radical, because they have grievances about the way in which we intervened there. Sometimes we're a little smart for our own good. And that little dose of humility on foreign policy with the amount of unintended consequences is something we ought be, after what we've learned over the last 20 years, paying more attention to. So I think in the right place, and KT can speak more to the actual policy of America First within the administration, in certain places at certain times that makes sense. But I think prudence should play out, and we should have a little bit more restraint in how often we attempt to intervene in other people's affairs.
KT, yeah, thank you. One of the things that the Reagan administration, other administrations have utilized in in place of military force are sanctions. Now, I want to just make sure and connect a couple of dots there. We talked about China's aggression on a number of fronts, including cider.
Bitcoin
Listen, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm long on Bitcoin. I think that ultimately there is so much concern over government manipulation of those markets through regulatory action that the dynamic you described is entirely correct. You see it with Tesla's big buy. Ultimately, I think some of these big corporations like Amazon are going to start to accept Bitcoin. And that really is an attack on the Federal Reserve in a lot of ways, and it's one I'm here for.
Okay, so can anybody, let's have final sentences from everybody, and then we're all hitting the bar.
Final sentence. I'm also very bullish on Bitcoin, by the way.
Yeah,
Good luck
me
trying
too.
to shut it down. There's nobody in charge.
Nobody,
There is
yeah.
no company headquarters, and the servers are all over the country. And what is Bitcoin but a white paper and the confidence people have in it right now? So I think
do not have in the U.S. dollar.
and that do not have in the U.S. dollar right now. I appreciate all of you being here on this topic and the commitment everyone on the panel has to this topic. Ultimately, America can only project power when necessary if we are strong at home. And that's what Donald Trump understood. Until we are, if you expend yourself around the globe, you expend yourself at your own consequence. And it's about time we focus on who we are at home so that when we do need to project that power, which may need to happen in the future at some point, we're ready to do it.
Okay, quick sentence or two from Gross.
The stigma, the impact of Donald Trump that Pete so well painted out is still there. The current leadership is so scared of him. And if you don't believe that, go take a look around the Capitol. There's a reason why they want to show the Statue of Freedom behind razor wire. There's a reason they want to put metal detectors in the House floor so that it looks like members are threatening members, is because they want to drive home the message that all of us deplorable R's somehow caused this, and this is the result of all of that. And so they're scared to death of him today, Pete.
Yeah, they ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, Doug, and then I'm going to ask Congressman Gaetz, and then I'm going to wrap it up.
Some
And
of
then
the
we'll get out of
things
here.
that Donald Trump and his team did were so good, so strong, so powerful that even Joe Biden as Barack Obama 3.0 cannot undo. The Abraham Accords, moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, rebuilding the military, those are things that can't be undone. So even though we only had 4 years and not 8 years, at least we can thank God for that.
If there is one thing that Donald Trump wishes he could have done better in his first term, I truly believe it's human resources. Sessions, Mattis, Sessions, Bolton, Sessions. And one thing I know, because I was there at the Resolute desk, is that KT was fighting for the Trump doctrine each and every day. And I just wanted to use my last moment to thank you for being one of the true fighters and a true, loyal, and successful and productive member of the administration.
And I just want to thank every one of you. When people say we're stupid and we're deplorable, we don't know what we're talking about, I challenge anybody to come into this room. You have an engaged group of people who are well-informed, well-educated, and who thought foreign policy could be this lively an experience? So God bless you all, and thank you all, panelists.